Good evening, everyone. It is 6:30, so I'd like to call this meeting to order. I note that we do have a quorum. All 7 trustees are present. And I'd like to announce that this meeting of the Seguin Independent School District has been duly called and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Section 551.043 of the Texas Government Code. Ms. Linda Duncan is going to lead us this evening in our pledges.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor to the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
And now I'll give us a bit of time for a moment of silence. All right, I'd like to welcome everyone. We got a big full house this evening. It's really great to see you as we're coming up on the end of the school year. We've got a lot of exciting things going on. We're going to start off with Dr. Gutierrez giving his report.
Good evening, board members and Seguin ISD community. Great things continue to happen in Seguin ISD, and I'd like to share a few examples from around the district. The Lady Matador softball team played extremely well this season and ultimately reached the regional semifinals. Along the way, they became by-district and area champions. Matador baseball clinched a playoff berth for the first time in 6 seasons. Kudos to these student athletes and coaches for these accomplishments. Last week, our Campus Teachers of the Year were honored at our annual banquet and award ceremony. They are all truly deserving. A big congratulations to Candace Hartman of Rodriguez Elementary and Lacey Stam of Breezy Meister Middle School for earning elementary and secondary Seguin ISD Teacher of the Year honors. Our retirees and service award recipients were also recognized at this event. I appreciate the years of dedicated service from these individuals and wish many blessings upon our retirees in their future endeavors. On May the 4th, the community took a giant step for the future of Seguin ISD by approving a $64.7 million bond package, Bond 2019. The funds will be used for new and improved facilities to help address needs in the long-range facilities plan. I can assure our stakeholders that Bond 2019 will be administered efficiently and effectively to ensure that your bond dollars are spent wisely. Our Bond Oversight Committee will be involved in this process, and I look forward to our first meeting with them on June the 11th. A big thank you to the community members who took the time to vote in favor of Bond 2019. Thank y'all. If you have been praying for rain lately, please pray for any day but Saturday, as Seguin High School hosts the annual commencement exercises for the class of 2019. The event is scheduled for 8 p.m. at Matador Stadium. This is always a special day for our seniors, and deservingly so. Whether joining the workforce, serving our country in the military, or attending a college or university, please know that your community is extremely proud of you. Thank you all for your continued support of Seguin ISD, and go Matadors.
At this point in time, each of the board members is going to give you a short report on things that they've been doing within the district since we last met. And so I'll start off. You're going to hear some repeats, that's okay. We've been busy. I did attend the Teacher of the Year luncheon that the Chamber put together. It was very lovely. It was both Seguin, Navarro, Marion, and some of the private schools. I attended the Associate's Degree Banquet, the Athletics Banquet. There was a STEAM fair that was held on a Saturday. A lot of great things going on with science, technology, engineering, arts, and math across the district. I did write down bond, so we passed the bond. I don't think I did that single-handedly, but I'm so proud of that. The board, we attended an XG training on May the 7th, and we had a special board meeting on May the 14th. Some of us were lucky enough to attend the Star Pep Rally, which was the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. I hope we can beat that next year. I don't know if we can. It was pretty amazing. I attended the band concerts, their spring concert. We had a percussion concert as well, a mariachi concert, a choir concert, a theater showcase. I also attended the Celebration of Excellence, and that's an evening where we take the top 10% of our graduating seniors and the student council, and they pick a favorite teacher that made a big impact on their life. So we honor both that student and that teacher. And I also got to go to the Teacher of the Year banquet last week, along with and we also honored the retirees and the service awards. Ms. Duncan.
Yes, I attended the Seguin Area Chamber of Commerce Teacher of the Year luncheon, attended the SHS Decision Day, and kudos to Seguin High School, especially the counselors and those involved in that day, because great job. Attended the Seguin softball game on May the 4th, attended XG Team of 8 training, then attended the fabulous Jim Barnes production of Disney's High School Musical, and I love the collaboration between the choir and the theater department. Good job. Also attended the very loud and exciting Star Pep Rally. There was like a Superman there too. It was pretty exciting to watch. Also attended the Seguin High School Sports Banquet and attended the special call board meeting followed by the high school band spring concert. Also attended the high school percussion concert and the send-off for the softball team as they competed in round 4 of the playoffs, and attended the Seguin High School DI rally. I see them back there as they headed to global finals last week. Also attended the Retiree Service Awards Teacher of the Year banquet, and just today I attended the 2nd grade awards and Rad Kids graduation at Rodriguez Elementary.
That sounds like fun. All right,
It was a blast.
Ms. Crittenden.
I attended Decision Day, the fabulous musical at Barnes, a high school musical, the Teacher of the Year celebration from the Chamber of Commerce, the Star Pep Rally, the STEAM Fair, the send-off for the Weinert DI team, also Weinert's Field Day, and their egg drop today, dropping eggs from 67 feet in the air, and the sports banquet.
Okay. Mr. Amador.
I attended meetings and workshops, and more meetings and more workshops, but I also had time to attend the Star Pep Rally, and I believe that my ears still ring. And I also had time to attend the Seguin FFA banquet.
Mr. Jenkins.
It's been a busy month. It seems like every week we've had 2 or 3 functions that we have to attend. Went to the Chamber Teacher of the Year, the sports banquet, the Celebration of Excellence FFA banquet, the service awards, most of the baseball and all the softball games during that time. So that's about it.
Thank you. Ms. Moreno.
Did a lot of the same things. I was fortunate enough to sit on the committee that chose the Teacher of the Year for our school district, so I did observations in the classrooms. I also attended the state track meet, and now I'm a fan of Uber because there's no parking in Austin. I attended the Star Pep Rally also, and I think we should have one once a month. That's how good it was. Also the Celebration of Excellence, the percussion concert, the Mariachi Spring concert I attended, and at the same time Mr. Guerra and I were following the girls softball game that was held in Beeville through Game Changer. I also had the privilege of attending Our Lady of Guadalupe Senior Mass and Scholarship Presentation. This year, that church, Our Lady of Guadalupe, which I am a member of, awarded $39,000 in scholarships to 19 graduating seniors. I also was at the Barnes Awards Assembly and just finished off being a part of the Budget Committee this afternoon at 4:30. So that was our month of May.
And Mr. Guerra.
I attended the Alamo Groups and Seguin Independent School District presentation where the welding students gave a terrific presentation on the Kaizen project they had been working on. The May 7th, Team of 8 training, May 14th, special school board meeting, May 15th, celebration of excellence, May 17th, Seguin High School mariachi performance, May 19th, Our Lady of Guadalupe Church senior mass and scholarship presentation, May the 22nd, the district awards and teacher of the year presentation, and on the 23rd, the FFA banquet and scholarship awards.
So I think it's safe to say we're worn out, but it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. So many great things going on. All right, moving along in our agenda, we're now going to go to item 2A, which is campus recognition. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Crittenden.
It is my pleasure to introduce tonight's featured campus, Weinert Elementary School. Mrs. Mary Hernandez serves as principal at Weinert. And she is proud to share information about a project-based learning activity that culminated in the creation of a schoolyard habitat.
Yes, thank you for having us this evening. This year, Mr. D. Palermo and Ms. Pish led a group of students from every grade level in a campus-wide project-based learning activity. So at this time, I'd like to call them up here so that they can highlight some of the work that they did this year.
Good evening. We're glad to be here tonight. We did do a project-based learning throughout the whole year with our entire campus. Guys, can you tell me what does project-based learning do?
Project-based learning is bringing learning to life.
Very good, thanks. That is correct. Project-based learning does bring learning to life. What you do with project-based learning is you find a problem or situation you want to address, then you investigate it, research it, develop complex questions about it, kind of think outside the box on it, and then you brief the appropriate stakeholders as to what's going on or what you want to work with. The texts that we focused on this year with our group were art, writing, English, reading and comprehension, science, technology, communication, social studies, and citizenship. We started this project with our 5th grade. They built a foundation for us, and the way that we did that is we found 4 different project-based learning for campuses, activities that they could research. Then, after they were done reading about each of them, they decided which project they wanted to do, and they went with a schoolyard habitat. To do this, we then took them outside and began working on how to develop this habitat that we wanted to create. And so they were reminded to turn off their recessed mind and power up their scientist brain. Some of the areas we focused on, or some of the creatures we looked at trying to preserve in our schoolyard, were butterflies, worms, bees, hummingbirds, spiders, and lizards. They had a little worksheet that they took out, and we went around campus and surveyed several different areas. While they were in those areas, they looked for things that they thought a particular animal would like to eat, how they would survive best on the campus. And then we shared the information. And next slide. And as we were sharing it, we had to think of first, what is a customer? And then who are our customers going to be? And who can we present to? And then, there we go. Okay. And so now.
My name is Dylan, and I did my project about lizards. To the left, you see there's 2 different types of lizards. There's a green one and a brown one. 3 fun facts. One fun fact is they can blend with leaf
branches and rocks. Another one is many geckos use tongues to clean their eyes. And the final one is a gecko's tail breaks off and grab, but it grows back. Hi, my name is Ava, and one of the students in Project this morning was on earthworms. Earthworms make food for living plants out of dead plants. If you cut an earthworm in half, the head will regenerate the tail. Hi, my name is Pinocchio Weaver, and I'm from bumblebees. Bumblebees spread pollen to many different plants, including important foods such as vegetables, fruits, nuts, and other plants grown from seeds and animals such as clover and native plants. Another two more people in our group are hummingbirds. Do hummingbirds need shelter? Yes, they also need fresh water and safe nesting sites for the young. Another person in our group was a warbird spider. Or redcon, a sled. Another topic that I work on are butterflies. What type of plants do they like? Milkweed, butterfly bush, zinnia, giant and sunflower. Butterflies migrate across the mountains.
So since it was a campus-wide project, we did use all grade levels. The next grade that we brought into our program was our kindergarten grade.
Campus cleanup. We picked up trash around campus. We invited families to help.
Okay, very good job. And they also created posters. And the way we did this with this group is they came in and we talked about community and what makes a community. And the importance of not just getting along as a community, but developing and making a community a happy place to be. And so they noticed that there was some trash on the campus, and we determined, well, let's do a campus cleanup to kind of welcome our new family members to Weiner, which are our bugs and creatures, right? Okay, if you want to sit down, very good job. And then we just had a couple of screenshots of some of the action shots, if you will. Next slide, please. First grade, I'll let them do this.
We made posters.
Okay, and the research they did was on habitats, and they learned about the different types of habitats, and then they created posters that kind of went along with some of our focus creatures for our habitat at the school. Second, third, and fourth, these guys were our worker bee grades. And what I mean by that is we have a raised flower bed that the fifth grade decided they wanted to use as our habitat focus. And so we brought these guys in to help us clean it up, make it all nice and pretty, so that hopefully the insects and bugs will come in and start being in this area. One of the reasons they chose this one is because it's kind of on the side of the school, and there's also a good flight pattern from the road. And we also don't want the bugs to bother the kids. And so it's kind of out of the way, but it's in a place where you can go check it out if you wanted to see it. Okay. All right, and that's all we have on that. Thank you for your attention. These guys worked very hard.
Thank you, Weiner, for presenting that. And what street, if we wanted to see the butterfly garden, Mr. Di Palermo, what street would it be on, the butterfly garden? You said it was
Cedar?
on Cedar Street? Okay, we'll come check it out.
All right.
And see their work. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we're going to move on in our agenda to item 2B, which is student, staff, board, and community recognition. And I'm just going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Hoffman at this point.
Good evening, Board Thomas. Good evening, Board President Thomas Jimenez. I'm trying to get to this quick. I'm talking too fast. Dr. Gutierrez and trustees. First tonight, we'd like to recognize our Destination Imagination students who traveled to global competition. They're fresh off that competition, having returned back to Seguin on Sunday. And the man who's going to introduce them needs no introduction. He's a living legend among Texas DI. He's right in the back of the room, our district DI coordinator, Michael Olstead.
It's okay, I'm actually going to turn and speak to the audience. And I want to kind of segue off of that. Pam Kridner, would you put your hand up, please, where you are? She is the brain. Just so we want to keep that kind of where it's supposed to be. Destination Imagination is one of the best teaching tools we have to prepare our kids for the world that they are going to find, which is changing very quickly. One of the most important parts of that, besides the creative piece, is the critical thinking piece. And so as we go through every level of competition, the most important thing that we do when we get the scores back is we look at those scores and we try to figure out how we can critically look at those and improve those. Each challenge this year had 16 scoring elements, which means we had to look very closely at each one of those at every competition. All right, let's get into how well we did. The Seguin High School early college, they went as a university level team. They picked the challenge that is typically the challenge that many teams pick. When we got to global, we were shocked and surprised to find that there was no competition. I bring that up because it's important that does not devalue at all what they accomplished and what they have done. I want to bring them up. Serenity De Leon, Jane Tovar, Kristen Molina, Victoria Ramirez, Gabriela Vercone, and Claudia Hassan. There was no team that did a better job of making adjustments from where they started at region to what they showed at global. If they would have been competing against the high school teams, they would have finished 11th out of almost 60 teams. And I think that says a lot. So again, guys, Weinert, the 4th grade. Laney McGowan. August Pinozzo. Nate and Griffin Walker. These guys competed against 77 teams. They were last year the first team ever as 3rd graders to go to global from Seguin ISD. And they finished, well, I'm going to say if we finished, I'll state this and then you'll figure it out. When they returned, they finished 9th, improving by 8 places. The parents quickly got together and figured out if they improved by 8 more places, nothing else needs to be said. So, give them a wonderful round. They also did the Fine Arts Challenge. Just because it's the Fine Arts Challenge does not mean that's all there is. They had to have technical pieces. They had to use technology. They had to build structures. It brings in all of the STEM activities, STEAM activities. The next one is our Barnes team. 7th graders, they did the scientific challenge. And most of them are on a field trip, and I'm thinking, so I'm going to read their names. I know some of the parents are here. Brylan Baker, Carter Dunn, Shelby Just, Madison Kirshner, Ava Saucedo. Ava, please join me. They are truly one of Seguin's elite DI teams. As 4th graders, they went to Global and finished 7th. As 5th graders, they returned and finished 5th. And this year, they did not do as well as we had expected, 23rd out of 81 teams, which truly befuddled and baffled us because of what they had done in the previous 2 competitions. Interestingly, it's a hopeful sign because the same thing happened twice before, and both of those teams went on to win as seniors. And the last team again is from Seguin High School. It was service learning, John Blair, Dave Compton, Leo DeLeon, Serenity DeLeon, Gabriela Madrano, and Kristen Marino. They finished 25 teams. Their performance was outstanding, receiving an arousing response from appraisers and audience. And I sat in that room for many performances, and they blew them away. They could have won one-act play this year with their performance. Thank you very much. Pam, can you join us for the photo? On 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3. Michael. Every year in May, it seems like we're recognizing the Weiner Elementary School Student Council for a Student Leadership Award through the Texas Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association. This May is no different, so we'll bring up Shanna Block, and she will introduce her staff and tell us a little bit about this award that her students earned. Oh, Weiner, I'm sorry, Mary. We've got Vogel next. This isn't going too good so far. Weiner, Mary, please come forward. Mary Hernandez, everyone.
Mr. Di Palermo and Ms. White are the sponsors of our student council, and so I would like to invite Mr. Di Palermo and 3 of our student council officers up so that they can talk to you about the work they did this year.
So, good evening again. I do have my student council officers with us this evening. I'll let them introduce themselves and they'll tell you a little bit about our program.
Hi, my name is Rylan Biker, and I am your student council at Weiner Elementary president. And one of the things we did this year was a Thanksgiving food drive, and we delivered it to the Christian Company. Hi, my name is Ellie Anderson, and I am the vice president of student council for Weiner Elementary. And another one of the things we did was pick up trash around our school to support Earth Day. Hi, my name is Eleanor Crittenden. I'm the student council secretary. And another one of the things we did this year was make cards for the nursery home and deliver them to them. I have one more thing to say. So the way we get this award is we turn in everything we did all throughout the year, and we submit it to the Texas Student Leadership Committee, And they choose only a few schools, and we are lucky enough to receive this award.
Good luck together, Mom. Thank you.
All right, now it's time to bring up Ms. Jenna Block, principal of Vogel Elementary School, for the Honor Council Excellence School Award from the National Association of Elementary School Principals.
Thank you for having us, and for Sean, it is always Weiner and Vogel, and so I'm very honored. This is our 5th year that Vogel Elementary has received an award, and this year it was the National Award, so we're very excited. And so I want to call up our sponsor, Ms. Emily Brody. We have a teacher who's out on maternity leave, so I want to give her credit, Ms. Sugar, and then Ms. Wolver, who's retiring, is working in the library getting ready for retirement. So Ms. Brody is going to call our students up.
Thank you, guys. We have our group of officers, the ones that could make it, and we have a 3rd grade member who we're hoping to keep on until 5th grade. So we invited her to come as well. So here, start off with.
I'm Florence Morris. I'm the secretary of student council.
Awesome. All right.
My name is Jay Hale.
She's our 3rd grade representative.
I'm Clayla Eppers. I'm the historian of student council.
And just like Mr. DiPalermo said, we do submit our activities that we do during the school year. We made heartgrams for our teachers and delivered them on Valentine's Day. We collected what was our Dress the Turkey competition, was a big hit, and we donated $450 to the Christian Cupboard. So a lot of our projects that we do, and Ms. Shooker, who's not here, she has many more activities. She'll have us busy next year. So we're so excited, so thank you for having us today.
Next this evening, we'd like to bring up Michael Garza, principal of Barnes Middle School. He's going to tell us a little bit about one of his student athletes by the name of Christian Ramirez.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting us to this special occasion. This young man shows up on our campus this year. He's taken his time. He's like, okay, we're going to get him organized because he wasn't here before at our campus. And at the beginning of the year, it was a little rough. But then as track season came around, which as a track runner, I was always excited, and we learned to wear our medals, which I'm sure all the athletes do. All of a sudden, this young man shows up with a neck full of medals. And I was like, what is he getting these for? So, of course, reading and looking, this young man races in the 400, the 200, the 800, and 1500 meters. He has a special wheelchair that he brings out and he races. His mom takes him places where he needs to go. Right now, he is on his way to, he's qualified for
the Nationals and the
Junior Nationals? Nationals and Junior Nationals. He will be going, if I remember correctly, to where?
Oklahoma, California, and
Minnesota. Those 3 states he will be going to compete in. Not only that, as long as I've been in Seguin ISD, he'll be the first young man in his wheelchair that will be registered to be in athletics next year to be in cross country to get fit and get ready, and then compete at track during track season. So we've already been looking at. So like any athlete who competes, you look for time. So we've already been looking at time to see what he needs to do to be in the 400 and the 200. Thank you. Thank you.
Next, I know Dr. Gutierrez wants to come forward and introduce members of this year's Superintendent's Student Advisory Team.
Good evening. Glad to see that we have several of our students here tonight, as they'll be recognized for having served on the 2018-2019 Superintendent Student Advisory Team. The students worked really hard this year on various projects, and when we meet once a month, they give us input on big decisions that we're going to make. One of the tasks this year, and I have a student who's going to speak to it, was really talking about what is a Matador? What does it mean to be a student in Seguin ISD? And these students spent several months really thinking about what the quality characteristics are of a Matador, a student in Seguin ISD. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to one of our student representatives. Harrison Dean is going to talk about the purpose of this, and then we're going to have students talk about those characteristics.
Hello, I'm Harrison Dean. I am going to be covering everything that we've been working for this year. Over the year, we have been studying and telling Dr. Gutierrez what we think we could be doing better in our campuses and what we could make better in our campuses with this passing bond. And we have also been defining what it is to be a Matador. And another priority we have has been to see how we can make incoming sixth graders years and incoming freshman years next year be better.
Okay, at this time, we're going to have our students come up and talk about those characteristics of a Matador learner, and we're going to start with the M, and that is going to be, Marcus, do you have the M? All right.
Hello, my name is Marcus Troy, and I'm from Acuna Elementary. The letter I have is the letter M, as in the word magnanimous. What it means to be magnanimous is to treat each other with love and respect, which is one of the main characteristics of being a Matador. Good evening. I'm Raven Garcia from AJB. The letter I got was A, which stands for accountable. The meaning is to be responsible for your actions and to step up and do the right thing. To be a great role model and to do what is expected of you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lilia Martinez, and I'll be doing Wyatt's word of the day. He got tenacious, which was to improve ourselves and each other, to strive to be better is an integral part of being a matador. And I got academically focused, which was the letter A, to work hard every day with a positive attitude and to be open to learning new things. Thank you.
I'm Franklin Meade, and my word is D, determined. To set goals and achieve them, to improve ourselves and the community.
My name is Emery Rapstein. My letter was O, open-minded, to be receptive of other people's ideas and opinions.
My name is Brooklyn Pacheco from Kennecke Elementary. My letter was R, as in resilient. Resilient means to never give up on making good grades and positive choices, no matter how difficult things can be.
Another member I'd like to recognize is Gavin Harrison from Rodriguez Elementary. It's important to know that these students put a lot of thought, a lot of time into this work, many of them in collaboration with their campus administrators, and this is work that is going to have a very long-lasting impact. Over the summer, we'll be making sure that we advertise what it means to be a Matador on the website. We'll share it with all of the staff when they come back from summer break at convocation. So this is something that is going to carry a lot of meaning for many years to come. Thank you all so much for your work. Thank you for serving.
Yeah, on three. All right. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3.
Well done.
We've been hearing about Seguin High School's tradition of fine arts excellence all year long. We're going to close out this school year by recognizing another student from Seguin High School who did an extremely great job medaling at the high school UIL state vase contest in Austin. And I'd like to bring forth Dr. Escobar, who's going to say a few words about Jade Carroll. She's got her artwork as well as her medals with her tonight. So we're going to see some bling.
Madam President, Dr. Gutierrez, Board of Trustees,
Thank you for allowing us to present today. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with VASE, but that is a premier art competition in the entire state of Texas, UIL art competition. And I'd like to present to you a state champion from Seguin High School. I'm going to ask her to talk a little bit about her project and how this came about. I do want to point out her sponsor, who couldn't be here tonight, Ms. G. Park, who's done a phenomenal job with that art program, and I want to recognize her as well. So.
Well, I don't think I really have much to say about it, other than that, thank you. I had taken a trip to the Texas State Aquarium, which is very lovely, by the way. And I got to see all the different animals there, and it was just something really remarkable to me to see all the different kinds of life that's in the ocean. And from that experience, I decided to create this as my state piece. And Ms. Park helped me a lot along the way, deciding what should be, what shouldn't be. And it's just, art's a very great form of expression. I hope you guys like it.
Thank you very much.
Not to be outdone, Seguin High School Athletics wrapped up another great year this year, starting back in August when it was 100 degrees out, and it's getting that way now. We went full circle, and our teams did a wonderful job, really all across the board this year, and including our state track athletes. We had 8 students who went and participated in state track meet up in Austin, and we've got Coach Jonathan Nance as well as Coach Lisa Almares, who are going to come up and introduce some track athletes for us this evening.
Good evening, thanks for having us. So I'll start with the guys. These are 3 of our 4 guys who made it to state. We were district champs, area champs, and region champs in the 4x1 relay. Trayshawn Brooks, senior, started it off for us. Freshman Rondi Singletary was our second leg. Third leg, Tristan Moreno. He is playing baseball right now, so he cannot be here. And then our anchor leg, Tavon Williams. I don't know the total history of the track program, but from what I've found the last 10 years, this is the first time in 10 plus years the 4x1 has made it to state. We were 2nd overall in district. We won the team area meet, and then 3rd by 4 points at region. So pretty successful team year. Very proud of these guys, how they, what they've accomplished and what they've done this year. Expect great things next year because only one of them is graduating.
I'd like to introduce y'all to Nayla Harris. She's just a freshman. A little bit on Nayla. She's kind of our freshman phenom that we have at the high school. She's built she's itty bitty, but has lots of speed. Nayla does play basketball. She'll probably be on varsity next year, varsity basketball, hopefully. With Nayla, she qualified in the 100 to state. She was our district champion in the 100. Blew everybody away in the 100. Here's this itty bitty girl going into finals at district. She was sitting in 3rd, and come home from Kerrville that night, and I'm saying, Nayla, this is where you're at. If you don't go, this is what you got to do. She blew everybody away. She didn't hold back. We get to regionals, same thing. We had prelims on one day and kind of held back a little bit. Explained to her, Nayla, top 2 go to state. You're sitting in 3rd. You sit in 3rd, you stay in 3rd, you're staying home. Well, next day at finals,
Nayla blew everybody away. It was like, where did she come from? I mean, there was a distance between her and the rest of the 7 other girls. So we get to state, she's top 2. There were 2 at the state level. There's 9 other people that compete, being that UT and a lot of college tracks have 9 lanes, so they pick, there's 4 regions, so they take 2 out of each region. So there was 9 people. She and another girl were the only freshmen competing against juniors and seniors and girls that were a lot bigger than her. When she's about to run, the gun's about to go off, someone jumped the gun. Well, that was the other freshman. So Nayla was left as the only freshman competing against juniors and seniors out there. And she went out there and she ran a heck of a race for being a little freshman at 14 years old. Mind you, I'll brag on her. She won't be 15 till July. So she's still going to be baby. She did take part in the 4x1. She was the anchor on the 4x100. She was the anchor on the 4x2, which did qualify to out of district to area and to regionals. So a lot of expectations expected out of Nayla for the next 3 years. So be ready to see her every single year.
Tonight it is a special privilege to recognize an individual who makes a tremendous impact on Seguin ISD students day in and day out. This individual has served the district for 15 years and goes above and beyond to ensure that our students are at school every day. She works closely with elementary attendance clerks, campus administration, as well as students and families to build positive relationships that ultimately benefit our students and their success in the classroom. Whether it's providing clothing from the district clothing closet, picking up students and driving them to and from school, or assisting families with lice treatments and providing assistance to families in their homes, this master level social worker is an asset to the district and is a great example of an employee who cultivates, inspires, and empowers students to grow and learn. For these reasons, it is an honor to present this month's Superintendent Award to Cynthia Aaron, Student Support Officer. I do want to attribute the gains that we've seen with attendance over the last couple of years to her efforts. She certainly plays a key role, and right now we are averaging about a percentage higher than we were last year, and it certainly takes a village to make this happen, but her work with all of the campuses is certainly having an impact. So Thank you, Cindy.
Congratulations, Cindy. All right, moving on in the agenda, item 3 is audience with the board, and this is where we designate a time for audience participation beginning of each meeting to hear persons who desire to make comments in accordance with board policy BED local. We did not have anybody sign up this evening, so we're going to move on to item 4, which is closed session. So the board will adjourn into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, 551.074, 551.129, which is consultation with legal counsel, including possible telephone consultation with legal counsel as necessary to address legal concerns, implications, and answer any legal questions regarding posted agenda items. Second, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074 to discuss personnel matters, including appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of an employee. Specifically, we'll be talking about discussion regarding the Human Resource Director, discussion regarding Kennedy Elementary Principal, and discussion regarding A.J. Briesemeister Middle School Principal. We will go into closed session at this time. It is 7:26. All right, it is 8:02, and at this time I'd like to reconvene to open meeting. And we will take possible action on professional personnel, including appointment, employment, evaluation, assignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public employee.
Madam President, Board of Trustees, I recommend approval of the Director of Human Resources as presented during closed session.
Do I hear a motion? Okay. Mr. Amador has moved to approve the recommendation from Dr. Gutierrez for the Human Resource Director. Do I hear a second? Second from Mr. Jenkins. Any discussion? Not. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign.
I abstain.
Okay, so we have 6 in favor and 1 abstention.
I'm pleased to introduce Mrs. Cindy Moreno as the new Director of Human Resources. Ms. Cindy Moreno has been in Seguin ISD for over 18 years and has served the district in multiple roles. Ms. Moreno was an elementary teacher for approximately 10 years at Vogel, Kinnicky, and Rodriguez Elementaries. Following the role of a classroom teacher, Ms. Moreno was named Campus Testing Coordinator for Seguin High School. Most recently, Mrs. Moreno has served as the principal of Kinnicky Elementary for the past 6 years. She has done an excellent job building a team with a common vision that focuses on supporting all students. When faced with hiring new teachers for her campus, she looks for qualified educators who have the passion and work ethic to meet the needs of students. With her strong determination to give our students the best teachers we can, Mrs. Moreno will be a strong asset to Seguin ISD as the Human Resources Department Director. She is excited and humbled to take on this new role for Seguin ISD. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce our new Director of Human Resources, Mrs. Cindy Moreno.
Board President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Gutierrez, thank you so much for the opportunity to serve the students and staff of Seguin ISD as Director of Human Resources. During my time in Seguin ISD, I have been afforded amazing opportunities to work with passionate, innovative educators. And the opportunity to now join the Human Resources team is just another way that I'm able to grow and learn from some of the best in Seguin ISD. So thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 5A2, which is possible action to select Kinnicky Elementary Principal.
Madam President, Board of Trustees, I recommend approval of the Kinnicky Elementary School Principal as presented in closed session.
Madam President, I move to accept the recommendation of Dr. Gutierrez for principal of Kinnicky Elementary.
I have a motion from Ms. Duncan. Do I hear a second? Second from Ms. Crittenden. Any further discussion? Not. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce Mrs. Cassie Kaler as the new principal of Kinnicky Elementary School. Cassie Kaler has been in education for the past 8 years. Ms. Kaler began her teaching career with Seguin ISD at Kinnicky Elementary, teaching grades kinder, second, third, and fourth. After completing her master's degree in educational leadership, Ms. Kaler was named the K-5 instructional coach at Rodriguez Elementary for a period of 2 years. Currently, Ms. Kaler is serving as the assistant principal at Kinnicky Elementary. She strongly believes leading by example, maintaining strong integrity, and treating others with respect. As a campus leader, she works collaboratively with stakeholders to ensure that all students have a positive learning environment surrounded by dedicated staff and teachers. She sets high expectations for staff, the school, and students, but most importantly, herself. Mrs. Kaler is excited about the opportunity and will do a great job as the new principal of Kinnicky Elementary School.
Dr. Gutierrez and esteemed board, I appreciate so much this opportunity. I've been with the district for 10 years and I've loved every minute of it. I look forward to continuing to work alongside Seguin ISD stakeholders and Kinnicky ISD and Kinnicky Elementary stakeholders, just to continue to help our students excel and exceed and go from exceptional students to exceptional citizens. So thank you for this opportunity.
And also item 5A, number 3, which is possible action to select A.J. Briesemeister, middle school principal.
Board of Trustees, I'd like to recommend approval of the principal for A.J. Briesemeister as presented in closed session.
Do I hear a motion?
Madam President, I move that we accept the recommendation from Dr. Gutierrez.
I have a motion from Ms. Moreno. Do I hear a second? Second from Mr. Guerra. Any discussion? Not. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Ben Grijalva as the new principal of A.J. Briesemeister Middle School. Dr. Ben Grijalva has been in education since 2010 and began his career as an elementary dual language teacher. After 5 years in the classroom, Dr. Grijalva was promoted to assistant principal at Vogel Elementary, where he assisted in leading the campus for 3 years. In 2016, Dr. Grijalva became a director of bilingual ESL programs for San Marcos Consolidated ISD. As a director, he was able to foster collegiality, team building, and communication with district teachers to establish sustainable practices aligned to the program vision. His ability to communicate this vision led to positive student outcomes, enthusiastic teachers, and strong parent support and engagement. These overall experiences have prepared Dr. Grijalva for his next journey to be a middle school principal. He is thrilled about the possibility of leading AJB, where he can use his combined leadership skills to develop exceptional students to exceptional citizens. We are very excited to bring Dr. Grijalva back to our school district and even more excited for our AJB students, staff, and parents.
Thank you. Madam President, Dr. Gutierrez, board members, I want to first and foremost thank you all for giving me the opportunity to serve Seguin once again. I'm looking forward to building those relationships with the kids, their parents, and my staff, and really developing those kiddos that are ready to go to the next level. I'm so excited, I'm enthusiastic. I brought my family, my beautiful wife Yolanda, who also serves for the district as assistant principal at Rodriguez, and of course my kiddos and I think this is a great honor for me to come back to Seguin and serve you all. Thank you.
I think this is a great time to take a short break. I know some of you have had a break, but we haven't. So we're going to take about a 10-minute break, and maybe some photos might be necessary during that time. Okay, so we're going to break at 8:11.
The kids came up.
All right, it is 8:22, and we will come back into open session. We're going to start off with section 6, which is reports and information items. Initially, it will be the overview of the Seguin ISD School Quality Survey, which was conducted by K-12 Insight. So Dot, I see you left us all present up here.
Casual reading. Good evening, Cindy Jimenez, President, Dr. Gutierrez, members of the board. As you know, we've communicated to the staff or to the board over the spring that we've conducted our K-12 Insight, the annual campus climate survey. This is year 4 working with K-12 Insight. Tonight we have a special presentation. Dr. Shelby McIntosh, she is the Vice President of Research with K-12 Insight, will be providing you an overview. This is one of the things that the staff did ask, that we have an independent evaluation come through, so they felt a little bit more comfortable taking the survey. And what we do with it now is the big question. So we are working with Jason Smith. He's working with campus principals to share this information on a couple things. One, how do they go back and share it with their staff? How do they celebrate the successes that they see, but also facing some of the brutal facts that they have to address with the staff? And that's not easy sometimes, but it's a tool that they can go and share and learn and grow with what their faculty is asking for or what they feel like they need. So it will be a process that he'll go through with each principal this spring before we get out, or probably in June, and then provide them some guidance on how they're going to present it to their staff. And then also, one of the things that K-12 Insight will do for us, they'll provide us a one-sheeter, and it's kind of like a highlight sheet. How did we do? And it will highlight our 3 areas of strength, but it's also going to tell our staff, here's 3 areas, the top 3 areas that we really need to focus on. And then what are we going to do about it? What is our team going to do to support those campus principals and address those concerns? So it's an action plan that we need to develop as a team to support our campus principals. So I'm going to have Dr. Shelby McIntosh come up and provide the district level report.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me here again this evening. I always look forward to seeing you all about this time in the year, and I'm looking forward to walking you through these results here. I'm going to keep it pretty high level, but certainly feel free to ask me any follow-up questions, or if there are any parts of the presentation where you'd like me to get into a little more detail. First and foremost, I'll give you just a brief background on the study here. As was stated earlier, this is a survey that is done with campus level staff specifically, and it is done every spring. This year it was open from March 25th to April 11th. and it is administered through email survey invitations, which means every staff member gets an email invitation to participate. There is a unique link within that email. Once they take the survey, that link expires, and we're able to send those who have not yet taken the survey reminders throughout that window, and you can see those reminders were sent on April 1st, 4th, and 9th this year. We also, or the district rather, sends out pre-survey communications through letters and email just to let the staff know that this is coming, remind them what the results are used for, so that they can keep an eye on it and know to participate. Just a few notes here about understanding the results. As you heard before, this is repeated annually, so you're going to see some data compared to prior years of the survey. It is not a random sample. We want every staff member to have an opportunity to participate. So because of that, it is reflective just of the opinions of those staff members who elected to take the survey. The good news is a lot of them did, and I'll walk you through exactly how many here in a moment, but it cannot be generalized to be representative of all campus level staff members. So speaking of participation, I'll start there. This is really good news. We always want to see that participation increase over time. It's a good sign that the staff believe in the process and feel that their voice is heard if they're electing to take the survey every year, and if even more staff members do every year, and that's exactly what we've seen. Just so you guys know, our goal when we do a staff survey specifically is 50% participation. You guys exceeded that in the first year, and it has continued to climb. 65% of staff participating in a survey is an excellent participation rate, and it's a sign in and of itself that you have an engaged group of employees that are willing to voice their feedback and share their feedback with the school district. As you can imagine, the majority of those are teachers. However, we did have paraprofessionals, classified staff, and administrators take the survey. The very first question in the survey is how you would rate the overall quality of their school. Remember, we're looking at it in the aggregate here, so this is going to be different for every school level report that are going to be shared with the principals. And you may look at this and see that this is not necessarily great news, that responses this year look less favorable than they have in prior 2 years. Two notes on that, and I'll kind of give you evidence of this as we go through the report. One thing to note is that as participation increases, it is always likely that you're actually reaching less satisfied people. Typically, your happiest people are the first people to say, yes, I love everything. Then your maddest people are the next to say, I'm mad at everything. And then getting those pretty content, less opinionated middle is always the last people to participate. So it's always likely, it's hard to know for sure, but it's certainly possible that as we reached a whole new group of staff this year, it could have been those less satisfied staff that are pulling some of the results down. That said, another thing that could be at play here, and this is what I'll show you some evidence of as we go through, is there is a theme of related to student behavior and discipline, and it looks like some items related to that topic saw a decline in favorable responses this year. So maybe when you look at follow-up or as some of the principals start to dig into their campus level data, that topic specifically could be something that they dig into a little bit more to see how that's impacting overall results. And I'll talk about that as we go through the report. These are the different areas, dimensions covered in the survey: academic support, student support, school leadership, family engagement, and safety and behavior. So as you can see, each of those saw either a slight or somewhat significant decline in favorability. The biggest one there is in that area of safety and behavior, which I'll show you some of the items that I feel like is kind of bringing that one down. But overall, similar results to prior years in terms of student support, academic support, and family engagement being the three areas that always receive the most favorable results from staff members who take the survey. I'll go into each one with a little bit more detail, starting with academic support. Most of the items there get about the same level of favorability. And these, again, just like it sounds, all these items have to do with the academic support that they receive, that students receive in school. You can see here how those items compare year over year. There's not any one particular item in this area that saw a bigger decline than others, which is why I don't think this is an area that's really driving any sort of decline in favorability or perception overall. I would kind of chalk any decline here up to, again, the increase in participation. That's just my opinion without necessarily knowing for sure. Student support is the area that always gets the highest level of, or the most favorable most favorable results from your staff members every year. And you can see that is true this year as well, especially those first two items there, with a very, very strong majority of staff members agreeing or strongly agreeing with those items. And that has been true the past 3 years as we look at that data. Again, no one of these items in this section looks like it has seen a much bigger decline than other items. I don't think that this area is really changing overall perception in general. Looking at school leadership, there are a couple here that seem to have changed a little bit more than others over the course of the past year, and it's easier to look at that when you look at the trend line here. And this is where we start to see this potential theme around student discipline and behavior. And I mention this too because this is something we see a lot talking to school districts, especially staff members. That specific topic can be something that very quickly starts to feel like a problem for staff members, whether it's a real thing or whether it's a perceived problem. So it's something that stood out to me just having done this type of survey in a lot of different places. It's a very common issue to see bubble up in a survey like this. So the items here that make me think about that is the one about 3 down that says school-based administrators are available when I have a concern. And then there's another one further down about how responsive they are when I have a concern. This just in and of, if I saw these declines by itself, I might interpret it differently, but when I see this paired with some of the other themes that you'll see in a minute, I start to connect dots here between the perceptions that they're communicating relative to the responsiveness and availability of their school-based administrators compared to some of these other topics here that I'm going to cover in just a couple slides. Family engagement, I mentioned this is one that continues to be one of the higher rated areas of this survey. And you can see that that is true here when we look at especially the first two and then the kind of third and fourth one in this list. Note you see that the last one there, the school uses family input to improve instruction, looks like it dips a lot, but just going back to that prior slide, there's a big percentage that said they just don't know. So don't look at that and think that there's a large increase in disagreement there. Again, we're reaching more staff members here. It's quite possible that it's just staff members that felt like they didn't really have an answer. They didn't know if they agreed or disagreed with that statement. This last section here, this is the one that I feel like may really be driving that decrease in overall perception, particularly if you look at the two items that have the larger yellow bars. Discipline is fairly enforced, and staff members and students treat one another with respect. Both of those have a bit of a student behavior discipline slant to them, and when you match them with the items that I pulled out on the leadership slide, you can start to see that trend there. So 2 things to note before I make too big of a deal of this one. There's a couple of things that could be happening. One is it could be worth just a general conversation about what the discipline policy is, how accurately or consistently is it being enforced across different campuses, across different classrooms. That's something to a good conversation to have with staff. It could also be that there's just an education element there. The researcher who led this survey here, we were talking about this today, and he said, often when I do focus groups on this topic, there's just a gap in communication there where staff feel like a policy isn't being enforced, and an administrator will say, it was enforced, I just maybe didn't communicate it to you in the same way that you would like me to. So it could be a communication challenge there, it could be a enforcement challenge. There's a number of things there, all to say I think it's a conversation worth having in terms of follow-up from this survey. And then you can see how those trend over the year. You see that discipline enforced fairly is one that did see a pretty big drop this year compared to the prior 2 years. So as mentioned before, one of the things we really like to do is pull out the highest ranking indicators and the lowest ranking indicators. This is a really good way to give school-based administrators a way to really celebrate the positive and focus in on the areas in need of improvement. Lots of really good news here. I mean, you certainly want those first 2 items there to be your highest ranking indicators. The fact that they feel that teachers, counselors, staff members are available for kids whenever they have a school problem or a personal problem. Awareness of safety and security procedures. I'll call this out in the last slide, but there was an increase in the percentage of staff members that said that their school is safe, that either agreed or strongly agreed that their school is safe. So while there's this theme of safety and behavior, overall safety and awareness of safety procedures actually saw an increase over this past year. And then nothing new here that I haven't already called out in terms of lowest ranking indicators. 3 of them from the safety and behavior area, and the other 2 are those that I mentioned in the school leadership slide. So just to kind of summarize everything here, I won't read this word for word to you, but the big themes that I pulled out in terms of key insights are the increase in participation to 65%, which again is really good news that the staff believe in this process, they want their voice to be heard, and they are participating in the survey. We talked about the decrease in overall quality, and then that third kind of chunk there just really calls out those specific points related to behavior and discipline that I feel like could be potentially connected. That last bullet is what I just mentioned here in terms of school safety overall, that there was a 3 percentage point increase in those staff members that agreed or strongly agreed that that all staff are aware of those procedures. There was also a 3 percentage point increase from last year among those that felt that their school is safe. That is, I feel like I just talked very quickly and gave you a lot of information. Sorry about that, but happy to dig into anything in more detail or answer any questions that you guys have.
What is your overall impression of the figures?
Yeah, great question. I'll just go back to this high level one here. We do this survey in hundreds of districts across the state. Not just across the state, across the country. And I think that your 16, 17, 17, 18 results are very high compared to what we are used to seeing. When we look at the somewhat drop into 18, 19, we're getting closer to average, but it's still, I mean, just anecdotally speaking, more positive than what I see in most districts across the country. I certainly see it swing a lot lower than that, and in some cases we'll see it jump a lot higher. You still definitely have staff who very much have a positive perception of the district in which they work. I hope that answers your question.
Can you tell me if it's pretty consistent with elementary and secondary on the number of teachers that complete the survey?
That's a great question. I don't have those numbers on hand. We can certainly get those to you in terms of participation. Were you asking about numbers of participation or
numbers of participants?
Right. I don't have that in this report, but we'll certainly get that to you.
Because I'm wondering about the problems with discipline, if those are mostly at the secondary campuses.
Yeah, you're definitely onto something.
I'm going to read.
You are definitely honest. That's usually what we see as they get, with middle school teachers or I'll just say middle school staff members, because it's more than just teachers, and high school, that becomes more prevalent. Also, if you had more secondary staff take it this year than in prior years, absolutely, that could be the trend you're seeing.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Although I do want to say, because I think, you see the biggest drop in the area of discipline, and you all will have an opportunity to dig a little deeper into the data, but I do want to make you all aware of the conversations that Mr. Schmidt will be having with principals, one highlighting the celebrations, but also discussing plans of action, and discipline is certainly going to be a priority. And I think we saw this decline specifically at the middle school campuses, and that has certainly had an impact on the data overall in the district, and so we're going to be paying very close attention to the discipline.
I'll add one more point. I'm sorry to answer your question about how this compares. Almost always when we see a decline, we see it first in this area than any other. So I think I alluded to that earlier in saying that this is common, and so that's why it didn't surprise me at all to see that potentially be the reason that your overall score saw a decline.
Oh, we saw a lot of positives too.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
If there are no further questions, we'll move on. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
All right, item 6B is personnel action for professional employees. And Ms. Whitman, you're back on deck.
Yes, I'm back on deck. Good evening. This information item is in regard to some of our newest recommendations for hire. We've got several new, very talented individuals, and a lot of folks coming in with a lot of experience. So right now we're still seeing that. As we get further into the summer, then that's when you start seeing more applicants with less experience. Victoria Cantu, she's going to be our new librarian, master's degree, 17 years. She'll be at Louisville. Cynthia Isaac will be ESL teacher, 27 years. Danielle Kendrick has a master's degree in mathematics, 7 years teaching. She'll be at the high school. Jordan Mathis is bachelor's, 3 years, special ed coach. Corey Matthews has got 9 years experience. He'll be a science teacher and coach at the high school. Amy McConnell, 5 years. She'll be our new girls coordinator at Barnes. Casey Miles, 5 years. He'll be social studies at the high school. Theodore Miller, he's got 7 years. He'll be with special education, also at the high school. Winter Nurse, it was a hard name to kind of figure out. Winter Nurse will be, she's a 7 years experience. She'll be our girls lead at AJB. Also Michelle Price, very talented ELA teacher with 10 years experience. And we have Caitlin Steger, 6 years experience, social studies, composite. And John Tapley, he's going to be our newest health science teacher with a master's degree and 2 years experience. And acknowledging the resignations below, but I just would like to highlight some of those folks that have been with us for many, many years that have chosen to retire, and that's Christopher L., Sharon Miller, Jack Lee, Shirley Hegwar, and Emily Burchell. So we wish them well. I think Jack Lee was one that was, I think he stopped everybody when he came in with that letter. So we do wish them well, and I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Well, I can say my heart skipped a beat when I saw his name on the list. I'm sorry he didn't come to our recognition the other day, so all of you, when you see Mr. Lee, please take time to talk to him about how much he's done for the district and how much we appreciate him.
Absolutely.
I
Thank you.
don't think I'd be sitting up here without Mr. Lee.
That's awesome.
That says a lot. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 7, which is our consent agenda for consideration and possible approval as applicable. Policy BE local states a consent agenda item shall include items of a routine and or recurring nature grouped together under one action item. All such items shall be acted upon by one vote without separate discussion unless the board member requests that an item be withdrawn for individual consideration. The remaining items should be adopted under a single motion and vote as applicable. So this evening we have item A, which is approval of board minutes for the regular meeting, April 30th, the Team of 8 training, May 7th, and special meeting on May 14th, all in 2019. Item B, the approval of tax collection reports for April 2019. Item C, approval of proposed budget amendments and financial statements for April 2019. Item D, approval of donations received in April 2019. Item E, approval of the publication of notice of public meeting to discuss budget and proposed tax rate. And item F, the approval of credit by exam dates for 2019-2020. Do any of you want to pull one of those items for individual consideration? If not, I'm open to hearing motion. Mr. Amador has made a motion to approve.
Second.
Second from Ms. Moreno. Any further discussion on any of those items? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. All right, moving on to our action items. We have item A, which is adoption of Reading by Design as a dyslexia program. Jason, it looks like I don't see anybody else back there. Thought maybe Ms. Falsterdine was going to be here.
Miss Dean is here.
Oh, she is. Where is she? Okay. Okay.
But I will get it started.
I can't always see that pillar's in the way. Okay, we'll go ahead and
You
get
can
started.
wait. No. Board President Thomas Jimenez, members of the board, Dr. Gutierrez, we are going to be switching to a new dyslexia program this year, and this is just a basic overview, and I'm just kind of looking over here, so I'm going to quickly go through the PowerPoint. It is called Reading by Design. Basically, the PowerPoint is going to bullet out really just how the design or how the new program is built and really what it contains. There was basically a protocol in place called DIP, which was a dyslexia intervention program that we went away from, and we are switching over to Reading by Design. So Reading by Design, as you can see, it hits the following bulleted items there, from phonological awareness all the way down to components of language. I'll let you just briefly take in the slide.
Well, I'm interested to see handwriting on there, because handwriting, is that going to be cursive, or is it just like to write?
Generally it's
cursive?
cursive.
Okay.
Cursive helps students in many different ways connect the printed word and the brain processing. So it's a good process. So dyslexia, we're required by the state of Texas to have a dyslexia intervention program. And Texas prescribes many components that must be a part of that program. So we actually started about a year ago. We formed a committee in the district, dyslexia teachers, special ed teachers, general ed teachers, to kind of take a look at our current program. The dyslexia teachers had some concern with the program we were using, which was the Dyslexia Intervention Program, a product out of Region 4 in Houston. So they had pinpointed certain components that they wanted to see included in a new program. So we had started that process when we found out in the fall that the Dyslexia Intervention Program would no longer be produced by Region 4. So we felt we were ahead of the game and that we had started already to kind of look at what our options were. So we made a list of what we wanted in a program, what was required by the state, and we looked at many different programs over this last year. The teachers kind of dug in, everybody did research and homework, and we picked the dyslexia, the Reading by Design program, which is another product out of Region 4. It is kind of the next level of the dyslexia intervention program. But what we found were the things that we wanted included, they had added to the Reading by Design program. So our teachers were very satisfied. They were very happy with the additions, with the changes that they had made to the program. So we feel very confident that we selected a great program with the added benefit of the training is quite intensive and lengthy. It's about a 5-day training for teachers to get fully trained and certified to be a Reading by Design specialist. But since we use the Dyslexia Intervention Program, we can bridge the training in just 2 days for our teachers that are currently trained with the Dyslexia Intervention Program. And Region 20 is offering some training and some scholarships, which we got involved in and we're taking advantage of. So we're very excited about that component as well. And this next year, we're really partnering and pairing our reading specialists. We've got dyslexia specialists that work with students that are not necessarily identified for special education services. In Texas, we're, I think, the only state where dyslexia is not a part of the special ed program. So we are partnering with our special education teachers, and we are going to train them in the Reading by Design program as well. We're adding a reading intervention specialist through special education at every elementary that we are going to train in this program, as well as some reading comprehension strategies to partner with our dyslexia teachers so we have more opportunities for intervention for our struggling readers. We really feel like that will make some significant impact on our students. Reading is a skill that's fundamental to everything else that you do in education, and if we can bolster those early foundational skills, get kids identified as dyslexic earlier, and get intervention to them, we feel like we're making an impact. So we're very excited to be doing this. Our teachers are excited. So the PowerPoint basically contains the components that are required in a dyslexia program and the different principles and modules. There are 199 lessons in this program, so it's quite comprehensive, and students are required by the manufacturers to take 30 to 40 minutes per day, 4 to 5 days a week. So it's an intensive program. So it covers quite a bit, and you can see that it's a very brief PowerPoint that just kind of outlines some of the goals of the Reading by Design program.
At what grade level do we start? What's the norm?
The norm is about 1st to 2nd grade. Texas has started requiring dyslexia screeners at the end of 1st grade and the end of kindergarten. So we can see with that kindergarten screening, it's our first kind of, we see markers. And then if they haven't improved at that 1st grade screening at the end of 1st, then we really say, okay, now we've got something we really need to look at. But this is the first year the kindergarten screening was required. Last year was the first year the dyslexia screening. So we're kind of going through the process and using that data to identify students earlier and earlier.
So how many lessons does I know you said 4 to 5 a week. in a complete school year, what are they recommending?
We recommend that you do a lesson every 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
So it's a 2 to 3 year program from start to finish. And not all students have to go through all lessons. It's very customizable, if you will, to student needs. And sometimes as kids get older, we compete with sports and band and choir and things like that, which are equally valid, and they feel like they've made improvements in this. So families have a choice, and it's a huge commitment to the dyslexia intervention program. So that's why earlier is better. We can kind of capture those younger ones before they get into the athletics and that other.
So there's going to be documentation that these kids have gone through each of these lessons?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We have a systematic district procedure for documenting the lessons and how long it takes for each lesson, and there's written materials and workbooks, work samples that go along. Yes.
And who's responsible to make sure that the documentation is in order?
That is, for the second year, we took this over in the special education department at the beginning of this year, and Allison Higginbotham is a coordinator with me, and she oversees that and has put in, I could, if I pulled up my computer right now, I can pull up the spreadsheet and tell you where each student in the district is in the lesson cycle. We're charting at that level, so we make sure that students are getting the services required.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I was going to ask that, but I want to piggyback on that. Now, are they taken out of their regular classroom, or are they the teachers in the classroom with them?
They have to be taken out of the regular classroom. It's small group instruction, so we tend to not go over group sizes of, say, 5. We want to keep the groups small and very, very prescriptive. So you don't have a student working at lesson 1 with a student working at lesson 199. We try to group according to lesson cycles. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge to group all the students, but we keep them moving along.
So I think I want to rephrase that question that Mrs. Moreno asked as far as the documentation, because a year ago we were in a situation where the teacher was just not servicing kids, and the teacher was not in the classroom with kids. She was hanging out with the administration. How do we prevent something like that from happening again?
We have significant checks and balances. The spreadsheet is a Google Doc, so we can get in, like I said, if I could pull up my computer right now, I could show you updated in real time. The teachers have markers where they have to, like lesson plans and entering grades in the grade book, they have to upkeep their lessons so we can see where the students are progressing. And if we're not seeing good progress, then Ms. Higginbotham checks in with the teachers to find out what's going on. And the principals, administrators to let them know, hey, we got an issue here. What can we do? And sometimes the students get hung up on a lesson 1 or 2, and it takes a while to get through, and that's okay, it's acceptable, but we're checking, we're looking.
But ultimately, it is the campus principal's responsibility to ensure that students are being serviced.
Absolutely, and we keep going back to the principal, and the principals have access to
Although there's a high level of monitoring today.
High level of monitoring with emphasis on ensuring that all of our administrators know the requirements of the program, of all of our special programs, so they're meeting these goals and needs.
And all that will follow them from grade level to grade level
It does.
school.
Yes, ma'am, significantly. And we track, there's some gulfs there when you're going from 5th grade to 6th grade. The whole school structure is different, so we look at how we're best meeting the needs of the students. So the middle schools tend to have reading classes, so we piggyback on the reading classes. If you're in a dyslexia class, you may give up an elective to take a dyslexia class because the requirement is so significant. 45 minutes a day is a lot. You have to take a class. But it's valuable if you need that intervention. It's very good intervention, and we've had good results with students.
So did you say the teachers, the title is Reading Intervention Specialist? Is that correct?
In special education, we're adding, yes ma'am, a special education reading specialist.
Okay.
So we're going to do targeted small group instruction with special education students who we have found traditionally are our most struggling readers.
The 4 to 5 lessons, 45 minutes, how does that compare with what they're getting now?
It's the same. The requirement for dyslexia intervention is the same as reading by design, 30 to 40 minutes per day, 4 to 5 days a week. So there's a window there of time that they must spend in the program. the programs are researched and validated for that specific amount of time. If you do the program less than what they recommend, you're not implementing the program with fidelity, and they can't guarantee you will get appropriate results.
I think for peace of mind, if we can just share with the board, maybe in one of the upcoming updates, just an example, of course, with student names redacted, just so that they can see how students are being serviced and how the monitoring of those minutes looks like on your end.
You bet. I'd be happy to do that. No problem. No problem at all. And most of our students served in dyslexia are a part of 504 programs, so they have annual checks with the 504 committees, so we get that as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I apologize for my tardiness.
Oh, that's okay. So the summer, the trainings you said they would do at Region 20, are those during the summer months?
Yes, they're during the summer. The 5-day training is offered once in July, I believe, and the 2-day training, the bridge training, is offered multiple occasions, and we've got our teachers all signed up, so we're excited.
That's a big commitment of time on their part.
It's a big commitment of time, yes. Yes, it is. Thank you.
So do I hear a motion to approve adoption of Reading by Design as a dyslexia program? Okay. Ms. Crittenden has moved. Do I hear a second? Mr. Jenkins beat you, Mr. Amador. All right. Any further discussion while Halsey's, or she disappeared? Oh, there you are. If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. That's all good news. All right, item 8B, which is TEA instructional materials adoption. I wasn't sure who was coming up. All right.
We'll let Ms. Williman take this one.
Yes. All right. Good evening, Board President Thomas Jimenez, the school board, and Dr. Gutierrez. My name is Allison Williman, and I am the secondary ELAR coordinator and facilitated the Proclamation 2019 process. Andrea Jaramillo, the multilingual and elementary ELAR coordinator, also helped me, and she is present this evening. As a reminder, the State Board of Education creates an adoption cycle for core contents to ensure the instructional materials are reviewed once every 8 years. The process begins when the State Board of Education revises or adopts new Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, or TEKS. Proclamation 2019 was issued in April 2017 and amended in April 2018 and aligns with the new TEKS for English Language Arts and Reading and Spanish Language Arts and Reading for grades kindergarten through 8th grade, which go into effect next school year, 2019-2020. This adoption includes spelling and handwriting instructional materials. And I did not forward all of that, so that's everything I just said. To make this selection, 2 different committees were formed, the steering committee and the teacher committee. The steering committee was comprised of central office staff who oversaw the areas under adoption, or oversee the areas under adoption. Members of the instructional materials teacher committee were teachers who were nominated by their campus principals. Teachers who served on the committee were experienced master teachers in English Language Arts and Reading. Members of the Instructional Materials Teacher Committee were responsible for submitting in writing final adoption recommendations. Ms. Jaramillo and I assisted members of the Instructional Materials Teacher Committee with all related adoption tasks and responsibilities. We first met in December for orientation, and then in January and February to review the district instructional materials evaluation rubric. On February 23rd, we hosted a publisher showcase for teacher committee members as well as all other stakeholders to preview the materials. The teachers evaluated the materials and reached an agreement as to the recommended materials. In March, the steering committee reviewed the recommendations. In May, the information was presented to DEIC, and finally, we are here this evening to present the information to you. The K-5 English Language Arts and Reading and Spanish Language Arts and Reading teachers selected Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, or HMH, and the 6 through 8 English Language Arts and Reading teachers selected Springboard through College Board. And I believe you have the breakdown in front of you. So if any of you have any questions,
many teachers were on the committee, the teacher committee? Was it just one from each campus?
No, we had, on the monolingual campuses, we had a K2 representative, we had a K2 and then 3-5, and then on the dual language campuses, we had English language arts representative K2, 3-5, and then a Spanish language arts and reading K2, 3-5. And then we had one from each grade level at the middle school, so we had a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade representative, as well as the L teachers were also on the committee. And then we additionally had a high school representative because we get to do this all over again next year with Proclamation 2020, so we just wanted to make sure there was some alignment with the process and familiarity.
And I'm just wondering about the personal financial literacy. Have we already talked about that? I thought we did.
It isn't a course that has made. So we've done the research. We had Mr. Lee as well as Coach Randall at the high school did go through all of that. We got information. We went through everything. So should that class ever make, we are ready to proceed.
Okay. Any questions?
So, sorry, go ahead. When we adopt these materials, how long do we adopt them for?
Well, once you agree to align with the teacher recommendations tonight, we are waiting to hear the payment schedules from both companies, and then we'll be able to go forth and order them. So hopefully, by the latest, at the beginning of August, they will be here.
But then how long do we have those?
It'll be 8 years. Every 8 years, it cycles through again.
And if the TEKs change
Yes.
in the meantime?
Yes.
Is that what happened with this last adoption?
So
as far as switching,
TA review the TEKs every 8 years? I guess
yes.
is the question.
And there's been we would be here a lot later if you. I'm more than welcome to explain the changes that have occurred. Basically, a lot of it with the old TEKs, there was something called Figure 19, and it was an afterthought, which is where you got your reading comprehension, your inferencing, more of the metacognitive skills, and it got added on after the fact, where now that's basically, they've broken it into 7 different strands, with strand 2 being your comprehension strand, bringing back all of that afterthought. And they are right now, they've made some additional recommendations during legislature, which CREST and CTE as well as TCT-ELA is encouraging people to voice their opinion on that as well, just because a lot of us, Ms. Jaramillo and I, have done extensive training with our teachers, and now they're changing things. But it's going to go from being genre-based, where this is our fiction time, this is our nonfiction time, to teaching more thematically. So it's going to be looking at the whole process of English language arts and reading, not here's writing time, here's reading time, here's our fiction time. Instead, especially when you look at and I'll use secondary example just because that's my wheelhouse. A classic novel like Beowulf could be they call it the canon novel that everything is with. But instead of just reading Beowulf and then moving on, you're able to teach it as a hero story. So you still have that classic piece of literature, but now you're adding in other ways that you've seen heroes. So that could be integrating the Hunger Games into your teaching, or writing about a hero, writing a letter to your hero, writing an opinion piece of what is a hero, instead of just let's read this novel and answer questions. So personally, as a former English teacher, I'm very excited about this change because it goes away from believing that English language arts and reading has to fit in this box. Instead, it's all together as it should be, in my opinion. That's what I can explain that.
Out of curiosity on my part, on the resource types, the online and the print,
yes.
Is there a printed book for every student in 5th grade, every student in 4th grade?
Yes.
How are the teachers utilizing online versus print?
Well, I don't know, Ms. Jaramillo, if you want to come speak to the elementary, because I can speak to the secondary, so if you want to.
Sure. Okay, so for the print version, a part of the new TEKs is annotating inside of a text. And so the print version has that with the little sidebars so kids can circle and write and do things like that. The online version also has that, so the teacher can then put that up on the screen and then be assisting as they are working. So that's kind of how they're utilizing both. We felt it was really important to have the online and the print, so we could do it across the board. And for the STAR test as well, it will assist with that.
But will kids have access on online?
Yes,
Yes,
yeah,
at
they'll
home?
have their own logins.
And at home, they'll have access to get in also?
Yep.
And at the secondary level, the teacher will have access to everything online. We did opt not to go with the printed version of the language workshop just because we did bring empowering writers. We did invest a lot of money into that, and that's been proven to work. At the secondary level, we'll also be doing 2 book studies with the teachers next year. One is called Grammar Keepers, which is with Gretchen Burnaby. She's written a lot of books on how to write and how to integrate things together, and that just shows how your grammar and your vocabulary studies can be integrated into everyday lessons, and it doesn't have to be isolated, as well as a book called Workshopping the Canon from NCTE, which will get the teachers out of the idea of teaching in isolation, and that writing workshops are more than just conferencing with the students. It actually includes part of independent writing and small group work. So we felt that this time it was better to have the access online, but spend time with the money that we've already invested into empowering writers and use the book study as our focus.
So you said that was high school?
6 through 12, we'll be doing it that way. They'll be doing the book studies. Now next year, we'll talk about, they're still doing the book studies with the high school next year, because that'll be a 6-12 focus of mine. But they get to go through this adoption process as well.
High school?
Yes, just high school.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, Ms. Harvey, I'm going to ask you, something you said made me, no, you don't have to stand up. You can answer. But what Ms. Moreno was asking about the student books, are those consumables? And if so, do we have to purchase them every year?
Correct. They are consumables, but they are all part of in the adoption. So that price is for the next 8 years.
So they'll be the same thing for 8 years, basically, no, changes to it. Okay. And then for you, I just don't understand this terminology right here. It says write for the student package for middle school. It says write in textbook with digital access for 8 years. What is a write in textbook?
That's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It is the same thing at the secondary level. They need to be able to annotate their text. Okay. So they'll have that as well as being able to have access to it. And then they also have Zinc Learning Lab, which is Springboard's version of a program called Newsella, which a lot of our teachers already use. So we're going to use that next year to really see how comparable it is from everything we've seen so far. It is very comparable to Newsella.
Any other questions? The teachers are all on board, ready to make these changes?
They're excited, especially the change in the teach. They're very excited about going to thematic teaching.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. All right. So the the action before us is whether or not we're going to accept the instructional materials as outlined in the instructional materials adoption list. Do I hear a motion?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the TEA instructional materials adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Guetta. And a second from Mr. Amador. Any further questions? All right. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. This is big. I'm excited. I'm really excited for the teachers.
Excited to see what they're doing with all this new stuff coming up.
I'm excited too. There's a lot of very positive things happening. All right. Item 9 is for board comments or requests. Does anybody have anything they'd like to ask of Dr. Gutierrez or any of his staff? I think we all feel pretty overwhelmed. No? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn? I hear a motion from Mr. Amador. Anybody else want to second that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? And we are done at 9:10. Thank you.